Happy Friday, everyone. Mackenzie Lambert here, back with another installment of the Criterion Collection series for Mack the Movies. Last week we visited the Toho Studios classic Gojira. This week we examined the bizarre haunted house film Hausu, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. Gorgeous is looking forward to her upcoming holiday and spending time with her father. Both seem to have recovered from the passing of Gorgeous's mother. Shortly before the trip, her father introduces her to Ryoko. Gorgeous still hasn't completely recovered from her mother's death and refuses to accept Ryoko as the new possible member of the family. In protest, Gorgeous and her friends go to visit her aunt at her mansion outside of a remote village. Her friends include Prof, Melody, Kung Fu, Mack, Sweet, and Fantasy. Little do they realize Gorgeous's aunt is actually a demon. What begins as a fun, charming friends movie takes a hard left turn into concentrated insanity. This is as bare bones a plot I want to give in case there are people who haven't seen it. For first-time viewers, go in as blind as possible, and that's half the fun. Essentially, it's Pee-wee's Playhouse by way of David Lynch, but in Japan. After seeing this movie, it's a fair question to ask how Toho Studios, the minds behind Godzilla, gave this gonzo production the green light. At the time, the films that Toho Studios were making weren't bringing in audiences. People weren't seeing their movies. Then along comes Obayashi with a film written by his then 5-year-old daughter. Out of desperation, Toho agrees to have the film made. They were probably thinking, if movies that make sense don't sell, then maybe movies that don't make sense will. The movie is made and released to become a success for the studio. This movie really clicked with people. Now, what is the meaning of this film, if there even is one? One that I found most plausible, but I'm unable to locate the original critic who mentioned it, was that the film is about Gorgeous having to come to terms with life changes. Her father has moved on from the death of his wife. Her friends die over the course of the film. On an allegorical level, this could mean that it's common to lose contact with friends as one gets older. My spin would be Gorgeous is still bothered by her mother's death and distraught over her father moving on in a period of time she deems to be too soon. The haunted house is an environment that allows her to live in a state where change and moving on doesn't affect her. The house is her own personal Neverland. The house preserves her fragile, childish mindset, but at the expense of those closest to her, those being her friends. One YouTuber, again I wish I could find their video, mentioned that Gorgeous's friends, as well as Gorgeous herself, represent youthful traits. Gorgeous being beauty that fades as time progresses. Prof represents knowledge, which the mind falters as one ages. Kung Fu is physical prowess, which can be hindered as one grows older. Mack can represent the metabolism. Sweet can reflect innocence. Fantasy being imagination. Melody being musical abilities. As one gets older, all these traits aren't as strong as they were during the youthful years. It was around 2010 when I was introduced to this film. I was awestruck by it. It was truly the weirdest movie I had ever seen at that time. First-time viewers are in for a truly unpredictable experience. One moment you have a serious incident, and then out of nowhere, this happens. The ensemble cast makes the most out of the nightmarish material. Kimiko Ikijami, as Gorgeous, stands out among the youths. She has naivety and is quite relatable. Growing up is scary. Facing life changes is difficult. That wanting to escape is relatable to many a viewer. Yoko Minamita, as the aunt, is having a ball with her role. She's embracing the ridiculousness with the right amount of quirk. Sazo Sazazawa, as Gorgeous's father, I wish he had more screen time since his character is pivotal to kickstarting the plot. On a technical level, the film is a living storybook. The use of background and foreground matte paintings, the early blue screen technology with all of its primitive execution, adds to the surreal nature of the film. The editing by Nobuo Ogawa is worth multiple viewings alone. One sequence has a girl closing her eyes one at a time and repeatedly. The camera from her POV switches depending on which eye is open. Cinematographer Yoshitaka Sakamoto is complemented by the meticulous editing of Ogawa. I love the soundtrack to this film. Asai Kobayashi and Miki Yoshino juggle the carefree sound of the main theme, along with the sudden action of the track named Eat, which I think might be misappropriated because this music kicks in when Kung Fu is in fighting mode. Hausu is a wonderful, weird, spellbinding gem of a cult film. On a visual and audio level, it's a thing of beauty. Over the past decade or so, it's been discovered by more and more people, and they're giving it the love it deserves. Another worthy addition to a strong set of films considered to be among the best. And that wraps up this review of Hausu. Thanks for watching. What's your favorite haunted house film? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to stay on top of future content, click the subscribe button, as well as the bell icon to receive notifications. Next week, we're looking at the silent Swedish classic, The Phantom Carriage. Until next time, this is Mackenzie Lambert for Mack the Movies. Take care, and have a good weekend.